Hello and welcome back to the Reaper. So we finally got to it, my absolute favourite, the Hawk. I've bought it, or someone's bought it for me actually, and we're ready to start doing the tutorials for it. Yes, I know some guys are whinging that we're doing lots of these documentary tutorials. We've got 3 more planes to do and then we'll be done, I promise. So let's just suck it up, get through it, and we're good to go. Yes, that is a plane burning, there it was, and a man burning, but he's fine. Don't worry about him. First, we've got the cockpit tutorial. Oh, I should say this is a high fidelity model. That's a highly detailed model. If you want to know the difference between high and low fidelity models, then we've got a video of that in our educational section. So I've got Grinkle here, who's slightly ahead of me in the Hawk. We're going to start with cockpit, and the first impressions are excellent. It's simple, finally. I mean, it shouldn't be so hard to make cockpits simple and ergonomic, easy to use, non-stressful, but they've done it. I like it, although it's very dark for some reason, but I'm sure you can turn some lights on at some point. Right, Grinkle.
Good evening.
Let's start on the left and then we'll wrap around to the front and then to the right as usual. So I don't think we've got tooltips on, so we're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, which is fine. We can deal with that. Very first thing I see is fuel cock control, and I don't... Yeah, what's that? Fuel cock control.
That's your fuel cock, just like the water cock in your house. Turn it on, fuel will flow. Turn it off, fuel will stop.
Roger, nice and easy. Good, Caplikey. Then we've got an engine start on or off switch, so that's pretty cool, and it just has on or off, so yep, we like that. And it's in English. Oh, and I haven't had to change anything or modify anything. Beautiful. Right, next we've got battery 1, battery 2, fuel pump, and pilot HT. What's that?
Pitot heat.
Oh, sorry, I misread that. Pitot heat. Right, I'm going to turn the battery on because it will mean I will probably be able to have some light at some point in this cockpit. Right, excellent. Next there's a weird white T-shaped thing, and it's not a control of any kind, so we're going to ignore it. Next we've got rudder trim gauge and aileron trim gauge, which is excellent. No pitch trim gauge, which is a bit weird, but maybe that's somewhere else. That's fair enough. And this panel is just, oh, it's lovely and simple. I do like it. And then we've got a rudder, sorry if my track R keeps going funny, but that's how track AR goes. We've got a rudder trim, left and right button, which is whee, lovely and useful. Aileron trim, we've got 2 knobs for aileron trim. What the hell's that all about?
I assume you have to trim each individual wing for when you want specific aerodynamics for flying in formation and doing all the funky things that people like the red arrows do.
Roger, okay, I'll have to have a play with that later to see exactly how it works, but okay, there's your aileron trim. Very good. Now we have our thrust lever. Let's see if I can get that going. Is there a way to put it out of idle? Or into idle, sorry?
There's a kind of T-shaped switch on the front of it.
On the front of it, stand by as I look. Yep, got it. So we've got our... And it's a nice little... Plenty of play, and it's a nice little stick. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. What have we got on the stick? We've got... That doesn't push... That doesn't push. Something on the front of it pushes. Can you see that?
Yes. So on the top of the thing you have the radio push to transmit, and the T-shaped one next to that is the air brake. They're not particularly functional as far as I'm aware.
Not modeled, no.
The one on the top of the throttle itself, the round button, is the engine start relight button.
Right. Okay. So okay, we'll see if we come to that at any point then. Okay, that's fine. We've got anti-skid. What is that, like ABS in a car, I'm guessing?
Yes.
So we'd use that when it's raining, I guess?
You just turn it on. It's part of the general startup. Just have it on.
Roger. Then we've got Alt PTT. Any idea?
Alternate push to torque.
Cool.
Not really usable in DCS.
So for the radio type thing, but yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, mute normal. What's that?
Again, it's more radio controls, alternate receiver mute switch, so it's just to mute a particular receiver and to unmute it.
Roger,
I'm not sure of any DCS functionality again.
Okay, next we've got standby UHF, so small radio stuff, and you can go to global guard 243 and whatever main is, but okay, so it switches you between guard and normal. Okay, fine. Now, have we missed anything on the sidewall? No. Let's jump up into the sidewall. We've got something here that is... I can't tell you what it might be. It starts with scan at the top left. Do you see that?
Oh yeah, that box on the sidewall.
Yeah.
That is your IR missile control panel.
Ooh, big sexy. Right, so we've got scan BS switch. What's scan?
Yeah, so that's scan and bore sight.
Scan and bore sight.
It doesn't have any function because the missile is caged to bore sight in the actual game itself.
Right.
If you were flying, and that's It's just basically going to scan the area in front of you or bore sight the missile.
Roger, so a cage to bore sight, fair enough, understandable. Then we've got a knob on the right, which are high and low. Is that sound? Sound?
That's missile tone, yep.
Missile tone, yeah, it's fine. We've got port and starboard. Is that to select the missile you're going to fire?
Yep, they're indicators to tell you which missiles you have selected.
Beautiful. Lovely work. Okay, then let's go down. We've got coolant on or off. Something to do with coolant of the missiles, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's just the IR coolant. A lot of aircraft have it just to keep the seeker heads nice and cool.
Roger that. Next, reject. What's that?
It's reject switch, so should reject current target, I think.
Roger.
If it locks.
Alright, I'm not going to comment because I haven't used this yet, but okay, that's fine. Down, we've got a big square button with no name under reject. Have you got that?
Yep, that's the select air-to-air missile button.
That's so you press that to get to the air-to-air missile. On the left, we've got a red switch, which when you press it, is that the fire switch?
No, that's the circuits test indicator.
Okay,
it's just a test.
That's fine. And then we've got a hazard warning cover, and what's the one under that?
Jettison. That's just a jettison the air-to-air missile.
Good, and I love this panel. It's simple, it's self-explanatory, it's just everything simple. I like the Hawk. Right, next let's crack on. So down below this panel, we have ignition or isolate. I have no idea what that is. Any idea?
Yeah, that's just the ignition circuits for the main engine. So you turn that on when you want to start the aircraft and turn it off when you want to isolate that.
Okay. And then altimeter test. I've never seen an altimeter test before, but I guess that test.
Yeah, just a ground test switch for the altimeter, just so you can hit that and check it's all working before you get into the air.
Okay, below that switch we have just a little black switch, hydraulic 2 reset. So I don't know why you would want to reset hydraulic 2.
It's part of you have to do it as part of the startup. It'll reset the gauges and everything for the hydraulic 2 system.
Understood. And then we've got hydraulic 2. We have a pressure in bar, and then hydraulic 1 system, pressure in bar. Maybe that's one on the left, one on the right. I don't know enough about the Hawk, but that's pretty beautiful and easy to see. We've got brakes, pressure. So we've got supply and pressure, starboard brakes pressure, and port pressure. Now let's see if I can make them move. Yes, I can. So I'm pressing the brakes and the pressure's going up, and then I can isolate just lefty, and I can isolate just righty if I wanted to turn. So that's all pretty cool. Now if we jump left, we've got AC3 reset, which is a push button of some kind. No idea what that is.
Yep, it resets the AC inverter. I again can't think of any particular DCS use of this.
Roger. Right, now above these are some weird warning handles. UC and F. Any ideas?
Yep. UC stands for undercarriage. That's the emergency undercarriage release.
Yeah.
And F stands for flaps, which is the emergency flaps. If you're coming into land and you know for a dead stick landing and you've lost all hydraulic pressure for whatever reason, you can flip both of those.
So there's a gravity release or something like that. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, and I have just put my flaps down, which is sick. Okay, next let's go down and right. We've got battery volts. Simple as that. These are how many volts your battery is making, so that's pretty cool. If we go up, we've got emergency up, down.
Yep, these are your 2 gear controls, so gear up, gear down. I'm not entirely sure what the emergency is about, but that's the usual method for putting your gear up and down.
Nice and simple, up and down. I'm going to have to get English cockpits for my Russian planes now I know how easy it is and simple it is. It's so beautiful. Right, okay. Then we've got, I'm guessing, gear indicator 3 green above that.
Yep.
Lovely and easy. So it tells you when your gear is down and locked. Okay, let's go down and right. We have DC reset.
Yep.
Something to do with
DC generator reset.
Roger. Then AC2 reset and AC1 reset.
Again, they're the 1 and 2 inverter resets to go with the number 3 one that's down on the bottom.
Roger. And then up and something and down. What's that?
Flaps.
Oh, they're flaps.
Yep. So that's your flap switch. So you above that as well, you see the gauge. That's your flaps gauge. So using the 2 of those, you can put your flaps all the way down, your flaps to a takeoff landing position.
Obviously, these will be hydraulically driven, so without the hydraulics, obviously they're not going to work. But wow, that's easy. Super easy little switch there. Right, I'm going to make good use of that. And then you've got your flap position indicated there. I'm guessing it goes down all the way to 5 then, does it?
It goes from, I think, about 2.5 to 5, depending on what your flaps are at.
Pretty cool. Have a look at that. Right, this looks like a radio, UHF radio above. This is what I'm looking at. So we can change our frequency, we can change our channels, we've got preset channels, we can change the master mode so we can have it off, we can have it to main, we can have it to both, or ADF, which is something direction finder. ADF, okay, you watchers will probably know more about this than me anyway, but the alternative direction finder, something like that, another way that the radio can be used. Volume and tone. What's the button for tone? Do you ever use that before?
I've never really used it, but I think it just it's like a test tone.
I thought that might be.
Just will go boop.
Roger. Squelch on and off, so that can help get rid of the kind of static sound that the radio can make sometimes. And we've got some presets. So manual. So with manual selected here, we can use, we can turn these knobs and set our thing manually. Preset, it'll I imagine use the different channels that we've got up here, which are preset somewhere else in the memory. And I'm finally getting good at these radios after like a year of DCS. And then guard, which will automatically select a guard, which is I think 243 for the Air Force. So there's that. Right, let's jump up and left. Aha! Now we're talking business. Gun, on or off, nice simple switch, no effing around. What is the thing below gun?
Right, that's your weapon selector. So you've got off, you have RP, that stands for rocket pods, EB, which stands for practice bombs, and B, which stands for cluster bombs.
Roger. We'll never be using practice bombs, but the rest we'll be using, which is fucking awesome. Nice easy switch, like it. Right, let's head down and right from here. What are we looking at here? Some kind of weapon select? Fusing?
Fusing, you've got nose, tail, and tail. Nice and simple, depending on which weapon you need.
Nice and simple, roger. And then we've got off. I'm not sure where it says off onto the left and to the right, but it does.
It says off and on. If you look at the top, it'll say in between port and starboard. These are your pylon selectors. You just go on or off. Nice and simple.
Gotcha. So you can have starboard or starboard and port. Beautiful. How many pylons is it? Just get one pylon per wing?
I think it's only the two inner wings that can carry ground, and then the outer store wings can carry air-to-air missile.
Okay, we'll have a look at that in another video. That's fine. So here's weapon control. Right, above the weapons control, some passive things that say off OPR. I don't know.
Yep. So the two on the left-hand side are armament bus bars. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but if it's black, that means it's live and powered. You have weapon power. You can see that later on. I'll show you. Okay. And then if it's off, the power supply is off. I think that's to do with the electrical systems that go into the pylons themselves.
Roger, that makes sense. And roll. What's roll? Operational at the moment, but...
Weapon roll, so OPS, OR, I'll read this off this. Cluster bombs are equipped, TRG, RL, PVC or CBLS are equipped, and blank sidewinders are equipped.
Lovely, excellent. Then we've got jettison, so I'm guessing you just push that and woo, your bombs, your hard stores go away. Okay.
Indeed.
It hasn't got a cover in it. I can see myself pressing that by accident. I'm an extremely clumsy flyer. Okay, fine. Now if we just up and right, master caution lights, and we can turn them off by pressing on them. So it's giving me a caution. I'm sure it wasn't very important. No, it never is. Okay, so that's that. Below the master caution is a black square that I'm guessing is some sort of indicator.
Air brake indicator.
Air brake indicator.
Black retracted, white bar deployed.
And what's below that? Something tail and...
Tail plane position indicator degrees.
What does that mean?
I'm not entirely sure. I've not particularly used it, but I imagine it's to do with where your elevators are and all of that kind of stuff.
I haven't. This is the first time sitting in this plane, so I don't know a lot about it. So we're going to discover soon exactly how useful that is, what it does. But it's currently neutral at 0, so that's fine. Right, jumping up and right, we've got our acceleration exactly where it should be. This is a proper aeroplane built by British engineers. You can see they haven't put this gauge right down here like the L-39 where there's no way you're going to see it. It's right up here where the important stuff is. And it obviously shows up to 10 G's positive and 4 G's negative, and that's it. There's no... Oh yes, there's a reset button there. So I imagine it'll store the highest G that the plane has done in the flight, and then you can reset it at the end of the flight. Lovely. Next is actually a tough one. Is that the one below just a slip gauge, or what is that?
Turn and slip. So you've got that white bar on the top, which is your turn, so that should turn as an arrow, and then you've got the standard spirit level.
Roger, and that's good stuff. Turn gauge I find really useful, but because you never know when you're yawing or when you've got well, I'll just...
Yeah, exactly.
Right, below must be the speedo. I'm guessing in knots because we're British. So I'm guessing that's 100 and 150, 200 indicated airspeed. So that's all very simple. And then...
a little Mach gauge in the middle.
I wonder how fast we can get this baby. It says up to 0.9... kind of 0. Oh, mine's gone funny. 0.98 or something as a liner, and I guess at that point we're going to lose control of it. But I can't wait to find out. I know, just look on the wings. There's got some wing fences there, so to stop wind slip, wind shear. But okay, going to be interesting flying this thing. Right, next below is a HSI, or no, it's a compass. It's just a compass / heading indicator by the looks of it. And
directional gyro.
Directional gyro. Okay, I just call it a bloody compass, but what do I know? There, we do have some adjustment as well. It's kind of the thing I don't play around with, so I don't really... Oh, there we go. Yep, you can adjust that like so. Okay, fine. Skip into the right HSI. Boodly doodly. Yep. So what I always call a glorified compass, but it gives you information about waypoints, your course, the distance to the different waypoints. Is something, again, you have to be smart to use, and CAP's not smart, as we know, so it's it can tell you where your waypoints are and stuff like that, and you've got your adjusters to set your waypoints and your course and your heading and your distance and stuff like that. So that's
follow the green arrow.
Follow the green arrow. Yep. So I won't get into more than that because I just don't know. Then you've got your attitude indicator, and it's a good one. Finally, I hate the ones with just like a black and then it's just a white line in the middle. This is a decent British engineered artificial horizon. Exactly what we like. Shows your roll, your pitch, and all the good stuff that you need in case you lose situational awareness in fog or dark or whatever. Absolutely essential. And it looks like it's caged. Can't find the uncage button anywhere though.
It'll uncage itself during the alignment INS.
You know why that is, Crinkle?
Because it's British and amazing.
It's British and it's amazing, easy to use, taking workload off the pilot. See, this is how you do it. Right, we've got a gun sight up here, but we'll and it's a lovely gun sight, obviously, because it's British. But we'll come back to it in the weapons videos that we'll do. Right, now, before we go any further, let's just move the flight stick out of the way, which looks very sexy. But just in front of that, we have some buttons that we've got to get to. So stand by as I try and get the track IR to cooperate. Okay. What the hell is this panel then? I mean, it looks very good and British, obviously, but what is it all about? Push to sync.
Yeah, this is a lot of the INS settings. So if your INS alignment, I was finding this doesn't entirely seem to finish this way off. So when you have to give it a few minutes to align, and then you can hit that push to sync button, and it'll just make sure that everything's pointing in the right direction. So all your compasses are actually facing north, etc.
Right. So
and then you can scroll it, and it'll manually actually move it. So if you want to make northwest for some insane reason, you can go ahead and do so.
Roger that. So INS, what's that, inertial navigation system? So this is what really, I guess, even modern planes still use it, don't they? You can't rely on satellites all the time, so this is how the navigation's done, essentially. Yep. And it has to align itself. It takes several minutes to get the gyros aligned and whatnot. I don't know, more complicated than I could ever understand, but okay. We've got an off DG SLUV switch, any idea?
Yep, so the off is obviously off. This is the system to actually align everything. Okay. So if you put it on the DG, it'll go to directional gyro operation mode. I have no idea what that is, never use it. But what you want to do is you want to put it into SLV, which is slaved operation mode, and that will actually use all the INS and it'll actually balance everything out and get all of your stuff facing in the right direction.
Copy that. Next.
That's how you align it.
Roger that. We've got is that latitude control next?
Yes, I believe so. So that will just be depending on whereabouts you are on good old planet Earth. You'll change that to offset true north from magnetic north. Right, there you go. So that's that. Then we've got erect. You see, this plane has a sense of humour because it's British. Erect. What does erect do? Erect doesn't do anything. Yes, it does. Erect will should manually erect your attitude indicator in the centre of your bank, in your bank of whatever they're called. Okay. Dials, that's the one. Roger that. Right, bottom left, turny. Don't see any None of these at the very bottom.
Oh, they don't work.
It doesn't really do anything. I don't know what they're supposed to do.
It's because it's simple and British and easy to use. Right, so we're now jumping up and right. We've got a switch on the side of the gun sight, which is almost certainly going to be gun sight on and off, and it doesn't work anyway because it's British. It keeps it simple. It's not modelled. Okay.
So if you click on it is modelled. If you click on the centre of it, so you right click on the very centre, you should insert a key.
Oh my goodness. I don't see any activation type thing anywhere.
Alright, so you see the lock safe thing. There should be a black ring in the centre of that.
Yeah.
It's like a safe key thing. So you put a key in, right click it.
Oh.
And then you right click it again to turn the key. And then you right click where it says unlock, and it should go live.
Batshit crazy. Okay, so that's a cool feature.
That's essentially your master arm. So because it's only a training plane, you don't just want it to have a button to turn the guns on, right? So you have to give these people a key.
Yeah, you don't want Joe Trainer in here with live missiles, just pressing buttons. Understood. Right, next, standby unst, bat or normal. What the devil is that?
That's essentially so standby power for your instruments. So for your standby instruments, that is. So if you put it to bat, you should see the backup ADI below that should actually start doing things. That's because it's now not running off main power, it's now running purely off battery power.
Understood. Right, and another master caution light here. Just on the right, I noticed there's a port there. I guess that's for diagnostics or something with the engineer crew. Probably something
non-functional.
Non-functional. Right, backup artificial horizon here, which is not caged, so that's fair enough. Right, barometric altimeter. So we've got what, thousands of feet, because we're imperial, because we're British, around and we conquered the world. Around the outside in thousands, then absolute in the middle, so 100 feet we're at the moment apparently, and pressure down here, which we can change like so to match whatever airfield we're at, so we can zero ourselves in. I that's good, simple, like it. Next, climb rate gauge. So I don't know what that. Oh, in feet per minute, or hundreds of feet per minute, or thousands of feet per minute. Sorry. So yep. So that's how fast you're climbing and how fast you're descending. Very useful, especially in bad weather or whatever. In fact, it's absolutely necessary. Right. Next is a little something, TACAN or ILS.
Yep, so that'll swap the green arrowy navigation mode between ILS, which is your instrument landing system obviously, and TACAN. So when you're trying to find an airfield, you obviously have that in TACAN. When you get to the airfield and it's all dark and misty and horrible and you want to swap to ILS, you just swap it to ILS.
Very good, very good. Now, a big button on the right that doesn't have a name.
It's just a marker light. I'm not entirely sure what that does.
We like it, but it's okay because it's got character and it suits the whole vessel, so we're happy with that. Right, I think, why don't we jump up and right? We've got, is that a backup barometric altimeter?
Well, there's two more switches next to that one, if you look.
Oh, whoopsie, yeah, missed that. Let's try UHF normal bat. Weird.
Yeah, that's running your UHF either off the standard generator power or the battery.
Okay, understood. And then land taxi. Are these the lights or?
Yep, it's landing taxi lights.
Lovely. Lights on. Cap. Let's wear these batteries down. Roger. Done. Right, jump and stop. Is this main or backup altimeter on the upper right?
I believe this is the backup altimeter.
Bigger than the main one.
Right next to each other, so I'm not entirely sure it particularly matters.
Yes, it's fine, it's good, it's British, it's exactly how it should be. Big, important dials where you need them, not scrubbed down here like those bloody Russian blighters do. Nice, good, we like that. And again, it'll have the usual Q&H you can set, and we've already been through that. Rotation and GTS.
Yeah, those are engine indicator lights used during the start of the airframe.
Excellent. Good, simple, we like that. Next, down, percent RPM, that's going to be of the main engine, I suppose. Oh, thank you very much. So, yep, simple as that. And I never realised why they have that tiny little dial in the top left, but they do. Some clever man on the internet will tell me that. There's lots of them watching us. Now,
actually a backup, I suppose.
Roger. Now we go right. Brain shut down. What is that? Engine gas temperature?
Yep.
Engine gas temperature, and we're allowed up to 760, 70, which is about normal for just a normal jet plane. That's fine. Next, that is going to be the fuel gauge on the right, I'm guessing, so we can have 1,500 kilos of gas.
Yep.
That's a good amount.
It's forever.
Good.
Ever it lasts.
Oh, good. Because the L39 doesn't last forever, so that's cool. Right, and then we've got alt just above, and I have no idea what this is. Radar altimeter. radio altimeter, or I don't know.
Cabin altimeter, so that's the cabin pressure in terms of altitude.
Oh.
So as you're obviously going up, it'll pressurize you to say 10,000 feet when you're flying at 20 or whatever.
Roger. Okay, just above that there is a little black thing. Is that a thing or not a thing?
That is a thing. That's just your I'm still breathing indicator for the oxygen system.
Roger, we like being alive at the Grim Reaper stand. We go down and write oxygen amount, so we've got a full oxygen tank, or nearly full at the moment. And it's not one of these silly planes that has 10,000 gauges for the oxygen. It's just a gauge, it's there, it's perfect engineering. Right, down, warning panel, again, nice, simple, good, and logical, because we've got red lights at the top, it appears, like hydraulics and generator, and then less important warning lights in amber below. I'm not going to go through each one, you can see that they're there, don't need to go over that. On the left there is a switch, however, a
fire extinguisher. Hashed one, warning one.
I'm ever so slightly concerned these important things don't have covers over them. I could see me pressing these and extinguishing the shit out of my engine. Right, and a test, you can see a test switch there, obviously that tests all of the warnings. Right, next, switches down below, nav, talk to me.
Lights.
Nav lights, and anti-collision lights.
Anti-collision are pretty cool in this aircraft, because if you have a look at the little cross thing underneath, you can either turn the switch up to have white anti-collision lights, or turn it down to have red anti-collision lights. That's
sick. That is, you know why? British engineering. Everything covered while keeping it simple and usable. Next, panel. What the devil is that?
Just your panel lights, so that'll be all the indicators and stuff.
So I wonder why that's not...
And then, so what you do is you can turn the panel lights on, you can then control the brightness using the knobs below.
Ah, wow. I feel a lot of control going on here. Although it's not working because none of my lights are lit up at all, but never mind.
Potentially because the engine is not running.
There we go, you see? Good design. Right, emergency. Oh!
What should work. This is the emergency floodlight.
I wish I found this earlier. Batshit crazy. Look at that. We've got props and a Spitfire green as well, or oak green. British racing green. It's lovely inside with the emergency lighting on. I'm just going to fly around all the time with it on. Very nice. Okay. Right. Something
the
on
last one is the compass. So if you look above, you should see a little whiskey compass. Just on the top. Actually, it might be off to the side. I don't know if you've closed your canopy or not.
No, right. It's going to be up there, is it? Okay, I won't look at it. I'll look later on.
But that's just a light for that.
Yeah,
so
well,
if it's dark, you can still see
I
it.
want that on. Okay, I just love my emergency lights. Okay, that's all done. Next, panel. Looks like radio. What do you think?
It's kind of the radio. So it's your radio selector switches, so you can swap between UHF, VHF, and then you've got the ILS and TACAN. So if you're trying to use the TACAN instead of anything else, you just turn the TACAN switch on. That enables the TACAN system.
Good, nice and simple. Here's this big switch, master switch. We can switch between UHF and VHF. RX. What's RX? On the bottom left.
I can't see it. RX, yeah. That is your receiver volume.
Receiver volume, simple. Okay, and we've got to push to talk, or alternative, or normal here.
Yep.
Okay. Red. What's that red switch? Fail.
Amplifier selector, normal or fail. I'm not entirely sure what that does, but it's
and an
DCS.
IC knob as well. But all right, I guess.
Intercom volume. So
intercom volume.
So you can shut the guy in the back up.
Oh, Roger, cool. Right, I'm trying to get my tracker to work with me here. So we've got here a big radio type frequency thing, which is annoying because we've had a radio on the left. So what could this be then? We've got.
That is your VHF.
This is the VHF.
Your UHF.
So the other one was UHF, is that right?
I believe so.
Yes, it says UHF. This one here's the VHF. So you've got another radio in there. And I never fully understand why you need all these different radios, but different ground forces use different radios to air forces and stuff like that, don't they?
Yeah, so this would be like, so say when we're on the Grim Reaper stops, you put your UHF to 243 for the global, and then you'd probably put your VHF to 120 or whatever.
Roger, understood.
You end up using for our flights.
And it's all the same, so you can adjust frequencies.
And then you just swap between them using that knob above.
Yeah, and you can change between here the different types. Yeah, and you've got your squelch, your volume, test, so it's just the same stuff. On the right, UHF AE upper lower, and you can't switch it, so I don't care. Right.
That's just an antenna up and down.
Roger, I'm trying to get my track IR to work here. So next down and left, we've got normal, dentist, flood, and oh, what the frig?
That's your cabin air selector. So what you have is you have normal, demist, and flood for whatever flood does.
Roger,
but you just leave that on normal.
Roger, and then a control on the right for heating, just like in your car, I guess. Cabin airflow.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, we don't care about that because we're not real. Virtual. On the right, norm, ground, crew, IC. Jesus Christ. I think that's
ground crew intercom.
Oh, sweet. So we're going to have to do that.
Set that to ground crew.
We're going to have to do that to be able to rearm and stuff. Okay, that's cool. We got, God, it looks like, what could this be? IFF next down? IFF.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's all modelled just like the real one. However, in DCS, IFF isn't really modelled to this detail. So this panel essentially just, it's a pretty thing. It doesn't actually do anything.
Pick a number, any number, have fun with it.
ILS next, so you have a frequency in megahertz, and simple as that. Tune into it basically, and you can follow. It tells you how to land. So that's cool. TACAN, same kind of thing. Navigational aid, and here are the different controls for it. So what's X and Y? Yeah, so all TACAN has X and Y, doesn't it?
Yes. So you've got X-ray and Yankee bands. Mine's making a fucking noise now.
Ooh. And we've got.
I'm going to turn that off. So what you do is you put that to TX/RX for transmit receive, and you pick a thing. So for example, Batumi is 16, just because I happen to know that one. So you put 16 in, turn it to X-ray because it's an X-ray one, and then it should. Actually, in fact, if you put it to 16 X-ray, your green arrow in your HSI should have.
Oh, sick! That is cool. So I've put it to 016, and I've set it to receive transmit, and there we go. Look, it's telling us. Here's TACAN, follow that and you'll get to Batumi or whatever we were talking about. So that's pretty cool. So that is British engineering at its best, chaps. You wouldn't see that in an L39, probably. Well, you probably would, but... right, next, below that panel we've got VOR audio on or off. What the bloody hell is that?
No, it's just a Force audio selector. I don't
Could it be
actually
Betty?
know what that is.
Oh, interesting. Okay, we don't know what that is. Clever internet people, help us out, please. And finally, on the right, air brake test. Okay, well that's no real use to us, but okay. And seat lower and raise. Wow, electric seat. Nice.
Yep.
In my car, I have to do that with my hand, turning a knob. Okay, and I think we've covered everything. Oh, there's an oxygen.
The one above that, you have the oxygen.
Oh yeah. You'll need that to live generally. Fine, excellent. Now all we've got to do control sticks. So we've got pedals, rudder pedals there. We've got the old Yankee pulley thing there, ejection handle, a good British green racing seat, comfy seats, kind of seat you want to see in your aeroplane, and a control stick. And is there any pushy things on it? No.
Not on the control stick.
On the control stick.
That little white dot you see at about halfway down would be your what do you call it? Push to talk.
Roger. Right. So we've
and then you've got your trim controls, and that's the little box you can probably see just on the base that opens up, and it's got your trigger underneath when you.
Good heavens! Batumi is moving. Look, Batumi is moving. Maybe it's not for you, but Batumi is swinging all around the place. Batumi, stay still, you stupid airport. Right, okay, let's not worry about that. We'll cut that out of the movie. Okay, so that concludes the cockpit. Now, that's my best cockpit so far, apart from maybe the Spitfire. It's not just because it's British, although it might be as well. But, oh yeah, look, my breathing thing. It can say that I'm breathing on the breathing gauge. Okay, that's cool. Because my oxygen's on now. Yeah, really cool cockpit. I can't wait to fly it. So, that'll do for now. Next, we're going to do the cold start feed. So, we'll see you later.